Welcome to another horrid, despicable, socially awkward, and unacceptable episode of The Apocalypse. And congratulations for choosing The Apocalypse. Since you have unwisely chosen The Apocalypse, you are in urgent need of a guide. Before the moment you chose the apocalypse, you had options. But from the very second you unwisely chose the apocalypse, you were in urgent need of a guide. Unfortunately for me, I was sent to be your guide. They call me Death 2 in the Netherrealm. That's the final death that many of you will face. Why? Because you chose it, son. Enthusiastically, you brag to your friends. You insult. You love the evil. You preach it, and then you go to church on Sunday and put your $20 in the collection plate. Pat yourself on the shoulder. Go home. Be evil every day, all day. Continue with your name upon evil. The ultimate evil, son. The Antichrist. I don't give a fuck if you believe it. He's still coming for you. Whether you like it or not. Whether you voted for it or not. Whether you gave money to it or not. And it appears, when the mass murder spree down near Venezuela began, that Donnie and drunk-ass P.T. Hegseth loved bragging, boasting, showing videos, taking credit. Then when we find out the details, Donnie doesn't know. Mr. Hegseth doesn't know all of a sudden. Despite all the boasting he did on Fox News and all the credit taking. I've been saying for days, they ran their mouth on this already. I've told you this 9 times. So I already knew who gave the orders, who was in the room, all of it. They all took credit for it. They all bragged about it every day. They joked about it. Big laugh around the, the right table. Right here, son. Here's a Donnie post. For that specific strike, because they were all proud of it, son, before. No amount of Trump True Social meltdowns will make us forget that he posted this after the first boat strike on September 2nd. What I've been saying to you, Pete's been running his mouth every fucking day about this shit, so has Donnie. So the excuses now are all bullshit. And it's obvious by what was said before. Let's take a look. This is 5:22 p.m. Eastern on 9/2/25. Earlier this morning, and this is the good part right at the beginning, on my orders. What'd you say, Donnie? This ain't me saying it. This is the obese, orange-faced, diapered Antichrist saying it. On whose orders, Donnie? Earlier this morning, on my orders, U.S. military forces conducted a kinetic strike against positively identified Tren de Aragua. They were at Tren de Aragua in the Southcom area, which we planned on killing people in before we got there. That's what you left out. Again, this was all planned before you even knew it was the Reich. I knew 10 years ago. On whose orders, Donnie? On my orders. So Donnie was in the room. He gave the orders. Pete gave the orders. They all gave the orders. No, Pete didn't leave for the good part of the movie. No. How does it feel having your name on mass murderers? How do you justify that? Oh, that's right, you're evil. You don't want to justify it. You don't care. That's what I realized. I realized it a long time ago, but I was thinking of it yesterday. You can't argue the evil out of people. If they want to be evil, they're going to write their name on evil. In orange. The ultimate evil son. The Antichrist. And again, I don't care if you agree, believe me, don't believe me. Who gives a fuck? He's still coming and knocking. Hi, it's the Antichrist. Did you vote for me? I don't care. Come with us anyway. I'm not going to read the rest of this. This is mass murder for oil. That's all this is. And to send a message to all the cartels down there. I want my cut. I want tribute, or I'm taking it all. That's why these fishermen and other people have to die. That's why this straight up illegal mass murder spree, no sanction of Congress for war, anything like that. Just, we're going to kill people. And they've done 80 some so far. And when it happens, you get posts like this by Donnie where it says, on my orders. You see that little highlighted part there? When the world finds out about the mass murder and the real details about it, Donnie doesn't know. Yeah, that's bullshit. Donnie's a fucking mass murderer. And I knew he'd get there. I'm sure he's killed people in many different ways before he was president, after. We could name the different ways. But this is straight up footage, in your face, mass murder, laughed, preached, joked about, and we're going to do it on land too. And there's a reason that it was phrased that way. That's how human beings phrase something when they know they're doing something of fucking pure Satan. Do it on land. Oh, you mean mass murder, Donnie? Is that what you're talking about? But we'll get to that. Anyway, I want to make the point again. Hegseth and Donnie, before this shit was scrutinized, they took credit. They said they were in the room. They said they gave what the orders. On my orders, it says. Donald Trump. And I thought about it. Donnie's a pedophile. Jeff Epstein's best friend. We know this. Donnie's a traitor. He staged a coup. He's committed espionage by stealing 3,000 classified documents and passing them off to Vlad and God knows who the fuck else. He's a consummate grifter. He's a compulsive liar. He's a mass murderer. He loves starving people. In fact, he'll go to court to do it. My point, people, you really know how to pick them, son. Think about all the things he's done, and I don't care about your fucking political beliefs. Throw him in the fucking garbage. And then ask yourself, have you ever known someone so completely and thoroughly fucking evil in all areas of life? Every second of every day. I've never seen anything like it. You know, Vlad's pretty evil, but we don't hear a lot about his personal life and different things. God wants you to see this evil. That's why he keeps showing it to you publicly. All the dirty laundry. There's a reason you're seeing it. Many of you have already failed the test. It doesn't matter what you see. And many of you, like I said earlier, I can't argue the evil out of you. I can't debate the evil out of you. I can't talk the evil out of you. And I've given up on doing that a long time ago, actually. For anyone, don't fucking care. My best friend, my mother, father, I don't fucking care. Some of you just gonna go down. Why? Because you chose to. Only reason. And again, I've never seen something so thoroughly evil as Donnie Shitbags. Which makes sense. Because he's the fucking Antichrist. He's a special, specifically extra evil being described in Scripture. And Donnie fits the description to the letter, son. To the letter, do you hear me? Like I always say, I'll just say this, I guess. Get your name off of it. And I don't want to debate you about it. Do it or don't. Only person affects it is you, not me. On my orders, that's Donnie on that specific strike that we're all talking about. So whose orders was it on? Well, according to the Antichrist, his. On my orders. Donnie's a mass murderer. Donnie was in the room. Donnie gave the orders. Rand Paul gave a little interview today. And when I'm agreeing with Rand Paul, you know it's the fucking apocalypse. It looks to me like they're trying to pin the blame on somebody else and not them. Secretary Hegseth said he had no knowledge of this and it did not happen. Remember day one of the story? Pete said it didn't happen and I have no idea. It's not like me and Pete hatched up this whole mass murder spree. It's the Admiral's fault and we're 100% behind him, just far enough to push him under the bus. That was the story at first. Then it morphed the next day. It didn't happen, and then the next day from the podium at the White House, they're saying it did happen. So either he was lying to us on Sunday or he's incompetent and didn't know what had happened. Oh, well, they know. They are incompetent, but that's a whole nother issue. Donnie knows every detail about this. I just read it to you. He said on my orders the day it happened. Boasting of it to you. Pete was in the room too. He didn't leave for the good part of the movie. I ain't buying that fucking story. I can tell by the way he tells the story. He's not a good liar. He's a drunk trying to hold it together. And he's scared shitless right now. Despite the false bravado. So one more time, class, the story started off with the typical lie. I don't know. Pete said it didn't happen. Next day, it did happen, but you know, right when it happened, I had to go to my next meeting. Admiral. So this is the basic story. First, they denied it outright, didn't happen. That was a complete, utter lie. Then Donnie said, well, I have nothing to do with it. Talk to Pete. Then Pete said, well, I have nothing to do with it. I'm only the Secretary of War. I love saying that phrase every 3 seconds and posting it. But when I get caught committing mass murder, I have nothing to do with it. It's that mean Admiral guy. All you military people about to follow, so many of you are following illegal orders right now. Which again is why I've lost all respect for all of you. I don't care how you view it. Your betrayal of your country, your turning on your fellow citizen. I don't give a fuck what you think about it. I give a fuck that it's happening, son, in America, and you're doing it. So fuck you. Forever. A lot of you are going to follow illegal orders in the future. Be prepared to go to prison, or be prepared to get spit on, all that shit. I know the paycheck's more important. It always is, son. I thought about what humanity is. One of the events in my life that I'll never forget, not in my life, but one of the things I saw that made me realize what we all doing here, what we've always been doing. Haiti, when that earthquake happened, devastated the whole fucking place. There was no economy, there were no jobs, there was no nothing. Just rubble, son. So aid drops were being made. People would gather. And there was this one crowd of mostly women and children as the aid got dropped off. And a bunch of men with sticks beat the crowd and took control of the resources. That's humanity. That's why we're here right now. Plus this greedy, self-entitled attitude that they've taught us in America, that I see so many of you walk around with. I was just thinking today of the various young men I came across in my shitty jobs I've had from the time I was 19. Actually, I had my first paper route when I was like fucking 13, but that's a whole nother story. The different men I've come across, that look in their eyes, that look of quiet desperation. They got a wife, they got a new baby or two, whatever they got, whatever worthless garbage they got going on in their life. And that just desperation, that look in their eyes where I'll fuck over my grandma to make this thing work. You know what I'm talking about. And you could see it all over them the first day, right through the door. When they walked in and they're talking, I really needed, that promotion to be in the box or wherever. The quiet desperation written all over so many of you. And you were willing to do anything, right? To make it work. And you did. That's humanity, son. That's why we're where we're at. That's why I have faith in none of you. Never did. And I've never been disappointed. So Rand Paul making a good point. Yeah, it really looks like Pete's lying here. And Rand made the point that both strikes were illegal in his opinion, and I have that same opinion, and so do many others. Why is blowing up the boat in general okay? Why are we just talking about survivors in the water when every single human being should be saying, you people are mass murderers, you have no right to blow up boats off the coast of Venezuela or any fucking where else? And you, again, the person very down at the bottom pressing the button, you're just as guilty as Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth. Do you understand that? In the eyes of the man, son. And I don't care if you believe in him or me or any of it. Doesn't matter. Irrelevant. He watching just like Santa Claus. Everyone down the chain who will say when the time comes, I was just following orders. Not good enough, son. Not even goddamn close. Thinking about all the people that are going to say, I didn't know as well at the end of this when they stand before the man. There is no human on this planet who has their name on this, who can honestly say, I didn't know. That excuse will be worthless. Just like it was at Nuremberg. This is Leon Scum, and I want you to understand, whenever a right-wing politician talks about birth rates, whenever Leon or one of the Nazis or racists that we know and love talks about birth rates, they are talking about white birth rates every time, no exceptions. This time Leon made it quite clear. Usually he doesn't make it this clear. He pretends he's just talking about birth rates in general when he never was and never will be. If current trends continue, whites will go from being a small minority of world population today to virtually extinct. An account called Wall Street Apes, white people are on the verge of extinction, global population of white people. I'm not going to read the numbers. Who gives a fuck? I sure as fuck don't. So Leon this time straight up using the term whites. Real popular topic among Nazis. It always has been. That's how I know you're a Nazi if you start talking about this. White birth rates. I've been hearing about this since I was born in 1970 something. And every time I heard about this, I know exactly what I was looking at. A Nazi. Leon's a Nazi. White birth rates. He's worried. Why do I say Leon's a Nazi? Oh, this right here. Kind of an indicator, son, huh? Did it with his chest out, too. That means sincerely. That means with oomph. So again, if you're ever wondering where this is all going, well, there it is right there. And it's going there, and there's no stopping it, and we're already fucking halfway there. Camps, masked men, army on your streets of traitors in fatigues, being the hand of the Reich and the Antichrist. All destined for the lake, lest they turn away. It's like this fat piece of shit right here. Destined for the lake as well. Unfortunately for Leon, it's guaranteed. If he's the false prophet, and he sure seems to be. And Donnie as well, it's guaranteed. There's no wiggle room. There's no, maybe they'll have a change of heart. No. Just the lake, man. Those two are specifically mentioned, and I still think Leon is the false prophet, so. Leon's already fulfilled all the requirements except one. We need to make an image to the beast. Whoever makes that proclamation, that's the true false prophet. That's the one criteria that hasn't been met yet. Fire raining from the heavens in the sight of man. Leon's done that a bunch of times with his rockets' explosions. Leon was preaching the gospel of Donnie, spent millions on it, bought a website specifically to preach it. Was co-chancellor for a minute. Has killed thousands just like Donnie with his cuts. Who else could it be? Maybe Stephen Miller, I don't know, but he doesn't really fit the criteria as much. This is Miles Taylor, who worked for the first administration, remember? And then he got fired or quit or whatever. The boat strikes are illegal. Dope couriers are not military combatants. Well, yeah, that's kind of obvious, right? They're not firing on the vessels. So killing them with airstrikes instead of arresting them is murder. It's that simple. Yeah. Just like Ron Filipkowski said, I'd call Pete Hegseth a war criminal, but we're not at war, so he's just a mass murderer. Yeah. That's not a stretch. That's not an exaggeration. Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth are mass murderers now. They can add that to their resume. And they just getting started. Instead of arresting them is murder, it's that simple. That's what I've been saying for days. So again, why are we only talking about survivors? It's murder all around, son. 80 some bodies. That's on Donnie. That's on Petey. It's that simple. I did not know this about Honduras. Petey Thale and the boys have gotten a stranglehold down in South America. El Salvador's one of them. Remember, Bukele took it to Bitcoin, did all these technocracy type things. They did it in Honduras too. Crypto. Trump's pardon of Honduras drug trafficker president is raising awareness of Prospera, the weird tech-ruled city he helped to create. This is what they want to do everywhere, and they go into. Pay attention, son. Prospera is part of the network state, a scary cult of tech billionaires who plan to replace nation states with privatized dystopias. What I've been telling you. Now, this story just came out regarding that from Reuters. Honduras top court declares self-governing ZEDE zones unconstitutional. Tegucigalpa, the only reason I know that word because I took 1 year in Spanish, and the Spanish teacher was somewhat attractive. Not great, but... And I remember her, I'll remember till my dying day, because it was such a strange sound and the way she said it. Tegucigalpa. Never heard that shit in my life until I got in her class. The Honduran Supreme Court on Friday declared unconstitutional laws allowing for the creation of a special economic zones exempt from national laws and taxes known as ZEDEs, which have attracted foreign investors via low tax rates and light regulation. A small number of ZEDEs operate in Honduras after they were granted 50-year concessions, including so-called startup cities that seek to boost investment and jobs while enjoying significant autonomy over how they run. Technocratic dystopia, digital currency, cashless society. Just like Alex and the right-wing machine told you the liberals were going to do. No, it was you! Jerk off. You were the movement. You were the finger. You were pointing at the poor liberals. The irony of that. Understand this. I didn't know El Salvador had taken that route before I looked into it. And I sure as fuck didn't know Honduras had taken that route. The technocracy route. That means Thale and the boys have their fingers down there. Already they've had it for years. I told you this back when we discovered what kind of nation Bukele had altered El Salvador to. That's what they want to do here in my rants on Donnie's crypto coin with the 666 on it. I'm not going to explain it again. It was already done in El Salvador. It's already been tested in various areas like Honduras. They bringing it here, son. And you got no choice. And again, the only reason Thale even exists, the only reason Leon exists is because of your welfare money. Isn't that great? They get to live like kings on your money, handed right to them, and they don't get it in 150 a month installments like Wick or Snap. Right in their pocket, they live like kings. It pays for your subjugation. Again, be ye rube or not rube, don't matter, son. They don't give a fuck about you. You going under the net, too. They never gave a fuck about you or your vote. And again, son, this ain't the liberals doing this. Who knew all those years ago in Spanish class that Tegucigalpa would become so integral? This McLaughlin woman, I can't even remember. Okay, here's her title. Assistant Secretary for Public Affairs. So she's just a fucking mouth. Man, she got fucking skewered by this dude on CNN today. And he didn't have to do much. This is what it looks like. She is not good at what she does. Berman, the individual suspected of killing a National Guard members, was granted asylum by the Trump administration. How did that happen? We inherited from Biden. But what did you guys do? But Biden... When I saw this today, I thought of all you rubes out there, and I said to myself, so sad that the Reich and people like them for at least 20 years and before that, all they have to say is Biden, liberal, whatever, and you just hand the keys over. God, you're stupid. And it's too late. The key's been handed over since January 20. Your country's over, son. I don't care if you love it, hate it, don't matter. Over. Etched in granite. Thanks, Rubes. So her only go-to is but Biden, but Biden. Because what she really spent her time on is this hideous brown outfit and her hair and the extensions and the typical worthless shit. Not policy, just a mouthpiece for the Reich. Worthless. What did you get out of that? But Biden. Nothing. And that's the intent. And that's why you're stupid. And that's why your country's over. They ain't here to give, son. They're here to take. And I mean take everything. And they doing it. You're being liquidated every second of the day. But what the real point here is, it's so sad. That's all they had to do. They didn't have to work. You're that dumb. You're that brainwashed. You're that worthless. You're that malleable. Until you decide not to be. I don't expect many of you will do that. Because you know better. How many of the 40,000 people born in Somalia living in Minnesota do you consider to be garbage? That's Berman asking McLaughlin. Damn. Indeed, how much of the Somali population in Minnesota is garbage, according to you cunts destined for the lake? McLaughlin, we're really looking at the data. Berman, all of them? This is not about politics. This is about public safety. We saw the terrorist attack against us last week. What terrorist attack? I saw a patsy for the CIA shoot a guardsman. I wouldn't call it terrorism. J6 was terrorism. And what do the Somalis have to do with it? Oh, they're black. That's what it has to do. Oh, okay. And I didn't hear much of an answer here. She never answered the question, how many of the Somali population are garbage? McLaughlin again, the message President Trump and Secretary Noem are telling the cartels and drug traffickers is you're not welcome in the U.S. Is that really the message? Berman, there are those, including Republicans, who question whether former President Hernandez was held to the highest standard of the law by being pardoned. In other words, What about that pardon, Dad? You're committing mass murder down near Venezuela, yet we got a guy that brought 500 tons of coke in. Pardon. Oh, he paid Donnie, that's why. The last two drug traffickers, they paid Donnie as well. That's why they got their pardons. And I'll say that to Donnie's lawyer. And we can dig into Donnie's finances and we can take a look with a subpoena or 8. It'll be fun. Then we'll discover that he's probably stolen, I don't know, about 10 billion from you people in the first 9 months. I'm not talking about the money you know about in his bank account. I'm talking about what he stole on top of that. Because that's Donnie's money, I keep trying to tell you. Not yours. Judge Napolitano on Newsmax. What's up with this shit? And he's just being honest. It gives me no pleasure to say what I'm about to say because I worked with Pete Hegseth for 8 years. This is an act of a war crime. There's absolutely no legal basis for it. Yeah, we know. The only one saying it isn't is the Reich that committed it. And it's not a war crime because we're not at war. It's just murder. Straight murder. And now that we're at 80-some bodies, well, now it's mass murder. Therefore, I orders Donnie is a mass murderer. And Petey, I leave before the good part of the movie, is a mass murderer. That's simple. That's not exaggeration. That's not any drama. Just is. Napolitano says it's murder. It's illegal. Miles Taylor says it's murder. Ron Filipkowski says it's murder. Many others, whose opinion I trust much more than anyone in the Reich. Bunch of mass murderers. Why would I believe anything they say? And they ain't hiding the murder, son. They boast of it, joke about it, laugh about it, right on camera. And the man will not forget that, son. Yuck it up now. This person, Anthony Andrews, was posting all day the different documents that were released regarding Donnie's espionage. I have a few of them. I'm not going to read the documents. I'm going to read his commentary on the documents. This page from the classified documents indictment shows employees at Mar-a-Lago discussing how Trump asked them to delete the servers to hide information from investigators. We also know that they attempted to flood the server room to destroy them. Open and shut case of espionage. Yep. And I'll say that to Donnie's lawyer too. Donnie is guilty of espionage. And, again, if they have a problem with it, subpoena, we can go look at the documents again. They're back at Mar-a-Lago. Donnie re-stole them. And, we can see what's up. Espionage, plain and simple. Trump requested new box covers for the stolen documents because as he went through them, he would make notes in Sharpie. What a nightmare, thanks to you cunts. Picture that fat orange fuck with a Sharpie late at night going over classified documents after he staged a coup. I can just picture it. And fuck you for helping that happen. Whoever did, I don't care who you are. I don't care if my mother helped. Fuck her too. My mother's not alive anymore. He did not want investigations to see what he had written. Jack Smith knows everything. Release volume 2. Yep. Flood in the server room. Anyone want to talk about Hillary's emails? No? Changing the tops of the boxes. telling the FBI to fuck off when they said, hey, Donnie, we tried to let you skate. We said, can you return the documents? You're making us look like idiots now. Any of us did half this shit, we'd be buried under the jail, and you know that. This cunt didn't even get cuffs slapped on him. Speaking of the mass murder spree, and what have I been saying these people were fishermen? Because according to Donnie and Petey, the mass murderers, they have no idea who's on board. They just don't know. And Donnie cracked the joke a bunch of times. They all did. Hegseth, a bunch of them. Yeah, I wouldn't want to be a fisherman down there right now. There's no boats on the water. Oh, that's hilarious. You understand fishermen do that to make a goddamn living, right? Yeah, it's a big joke. What are they saying when they make jokes like that? I wouldn't want to be a fisherman. There's no boats out there. They're making jokes about blowing up fishermen. That's what they're saying. They're telling you. Yeah, we blew up a few fishermen here and there. Who the hell knows? Telling you straight up. So thoroughly evil are you and your movement and your Antichrist. I've never seen nothing like it. Trump and Hegseth murdered a 42-year-old impoverished fisherman who leaves behind a wife, 4 children, father, and mother. He has no record of drug trafficking. He simply went out to fish and never came home. Donald and Pete need to be held accountable for their actions. You mean their mass murder? This is from yahoo.com, and there's a picture. And yeah, these are real people. This is not a video game, son. Every murder on MAGA's head, every MAGA voter, that's on your head, son. It's on your Antichrist's head. It's on his Secretary of War's head. In fact, Donnie said, on my orders, I read you the post back in the beginning of this piece of shit. I've been using the word fisherman. That's what you got your name on, son. That's what you preach. That's what you love. That's what you boast of. That's why you going in the lake. I'm very sorry. And that's real, son. I don't say that for fun. That's stone cold fucking real. Like I always say, all fun and games till that fire hits your ass. That's a true statement. I know, though. You know better. Donald Trump, I told you Adolf Hitler wanted to build an arch, wanted to build a big ballroom. He hired the architect. They drew up the plans. This is widely known. This isn't secret. Because Adolf Hitler planned on making Berlin the capital of the world. What the Antichrist of the Bible, that spirit, that demonic spirit since the beginning of time has been trying to do, that very thing. One world government, world capital, Antichrist, subjugation of the entire world. How many have tried? That's what Adolf was trying to do. Be the Antichrist. Yes, Adolf Hitler had plans for a monumental arch. An existing building was renovated to include a large ballroom reception hall. The arch, the planned arch, as part of the vision to redesign Berlin as Welthauptstadt, Germania, world capital Germania, Hitler and his chief architect Albert Speer planned a colossal triumphal arch. They did a test in a swamp to see if the swamp could take the weight. It couldn't. It never got built. The war ended shortly after these plans were drawn up, about a year and a half after. So class rubes and everyone, Satanists, non-Satanists, why is Donnie building the exact two things that Adolf Hitler wanted to build? What does that say about Donnie? C-spot run. Dick and Jane go up the hill. That says Donnie views himself as the modern Adolf Hitler, and he's literally trying to finish the Third Reich's work. No other way to interpret it, son. And again, it wasn't the liberals then. It ain't the liberals now. Liberals were first to get locked up last time. They will be first to get locked up this time. There goes your whole narrative. Looks like you're on the wrong side of it, you and Alex. You and Cerno. All the people you respect because you're evil just like them. All of you just straight to the lake, son. You're already there. You were dead before you were born. That's what I've been trying to tell you. So why would I debate a dead man? What's the point of that? There isn't one. Here's Donnie that assembled a bunch of people behind him today. I don't know who was there. I don't care. Fuck every one of them. All you're seeing in that room is a bunch of people that are going right in the lake. Will you release video of the 2nd September 2 boat strike? Trump, whatever they have, we certainly release, no problem. First of all, Donnie and Hegseth already watched the tape. They know exactly what they have. The they is Donnie and Pete. Second of all, no way in fuck will they release it. Have they released the Epstein files yet? I'm not talking about what came out today from the Democrats either. That doesn't count. So no, I don't believe Donnie's going to release it, because then it would show that he and Pete Hegseth are mass murderers. If it's found that survivors were actually killed while clinging onto the boat, should Secretary Hegseth, Admiral Bradley, or others be punished? Trump, I think you're going to find that this is war. That these people were killing our people by the millions, actually. Well, if they're killing us by the millions, why'd you pardon that drug trafficker that brought 500 tons in? Oh, because it ain't about drugs at all. It never was. You're just committing mass murder. That's all. So I think you're going to find that Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump are mass murderers. Very soon we're going to start doing it on land too. Why phrase it like that? Doing it on land. Doing what? Oh, your mass murder spree. Continuing that. Again, that's what humans do because they can't psychologically handle that they're evil and they don't want to say it out loud that clearly. So they say things like this. We're going to start doing it on land too. Because we know every route, we know every house, we know where they manufacture this crap. I'm sure you do because you wanted to take over the cartels. Donnie's made this threat 3-4 times now. We know where you're at. Donnie's been a cokehead most of his life, so this crap is what Donnie loves, actually. That's why he shits himself. The coke ruined his insides, and it just... Not because he's old and infirm. He's been shitting himself since, like, the 90s. You're cokehead messiah. With a diaper on full of shit. So Donnie letting us know straight up, he said this a few times now, that the mass murder spree will move to land. So to be clear, you support the decision to kill survivors? I'm sure he does. He was in the room and he probably told him to do it. No, I support the decision to knock out the boat. No, that's not true at all. He supports murdering anyone. He doesn't give a fuck. When did he care? His ex-wife is buried on one of his golf courses. Wonder why that is. Epstein died on his watch. Wonder how that happened. Donnie fully supports the decisions. I read you the statement by Donnie right in the beginning of this. I can't recall. I think it says something like, on my orders! So this fucking bullshit, no, I don't support it. It was on your orders the day it happened, you fat fuck. Fuck out of here. Why isn't my goddamn air conditioning working? Or is it? I can't even fucking tell. Whatever, I'm almost done anyway. I'm charging the car, so it's a whole thing. It's Donnie again. Trump on his boat strikes. We're going to start very soon on land, and I'm sure you're thrilled to hear that. Start, what do you mean very soon? You mean murdering people? We're going to start very soon on land murdering people. And I'm sure you're thrilled to hear that as he speaks his evil. Donnie won't be thrilled to hear, I'm sorry, Donnie, you have to go in the lake. And don't even bother talking. This isn't that kind of thing. Just walk, son. Look at this fucking maniac. And I'm sure you're thrilled to hear that. Look at this fucking disgusting orange animal. Call him a beast, actually, in scripture. Call him many things. As he's boasting of his mass murder. As he lets you know, I'm going to continue my mass murder on land. Donnie telling the tariff shelf lie again. You ready? They're finding money in our country now that they never knew existed. The other day, 30 billion. Where did it come from? I said, why don't you check the tariff shelf? They said, sir, that tariff hasn't started yet. I said, no, it started 2 months ago. They call back, sir, you're right. So for the 9th time, we hear the tariff shelf lie that didn't happen, doesn't exist. This is more context on the should they be punished question. If it's found that survivors were actually killed while clinging onto that boat, should Secretary Hegseth, Admiral Bradley, or others be punished? I think you're going to find that this is war. No, it's actually not war. There's not a war that was declared, so it's murder. I think you're going to find that there's a very receptive ear to doing exactly what they're doing, taking out these boats, and very soon we're going to start doing it on land too. That's the whole comment. They come to Donnie. They say, Donnie, you're mass murdering people down in Venezuela. Off the coast, in the water. Donnie shows no shame. And he says, you know what? I'm going to continue that on land too. My murder spree. When you see in totality the evil this thing will I don't know what the future tense of rot is, if there is one. When you see the totality of what this thing does over the next few years, you will be astounded. He's only dipping his toes in the water so far. 80 bodies is nothing compared to what this cunt is about to do. Now he's going to withhold food aid money from states if they don't give him the information about you that they're looking for. This is ABC News. The Trump administration said it will withhold SNAP food aid from recipients in most Democratic-led states starting next week unless they provide recipient data. Donnie's starving people again. The fuck is... What? I've never seen that message before. Give me 1 second, people. Be right back. Okay, sorry about that. Let's move to the next one. Governor Maura someone from Massachusetts. I don't know her last name. Once again, the Trump administration is playing politics with people's food. It's cruel, plain and simple. Working families with kids, seniors, folks with disabilities need to eat. Trump should order the release of the SNAP funding immediately. Yeah. What is it with you people taking joy in starving the poor? Why does that make you feel good? Why are you evil? It only leads to the lake, son. Chuck Schumer, Donald Trump is once again using hungry families as hostages, threatening to take food away from those most in need. Now he wants to make American families choose between putting food on the table, paying bills, and buying Christmas presents. His cruelty knows no bounds. This is from the AP. Trump administration threatens to withhold SNAP management funds from states that don't share data. Everything's about data, you notice that? Do you think that's only about illegal aliens, you fucking moron? They don't want your data, right? Right, idiot? Right. Well, we watched Donnie during the shutdown literally go to court to starve people. They went to court. They appealed even. Now we're on round 2 of flat out starving the poor again. Again, I've never seen something so thoroughly evil. This person and you and your movement take joy in poor people starving. The man will not be pleased with you. The man certainly won't be pleased with Donnie. So on top of all the other things I said about him earlier, he's a rapist, he's a defamer, he's a fraud, all adjudicated. He's a traitor by staging a coup. He committed espionage, further treachery, by stealing classified documents. He's a pedophile, Jeff Epstein's best friend. He's a mass murderer now. And on top of it all, he loves starving the poor. In fact, he went to court for permission to do it. Even filed an appeal when he lost. Again, I got to ask, how are you people so thoroughly evil? How is your Antichrist so thoroughly evil? Some report came out today regarding Hegseth and the Signal app chat thing. Look, I don't care what report comes out. It's this simple. Pete didn't give a fuck who was in the chat. He's too incompetent. He's too eager to hide his communications, which is why he was on Signal in the first fucking place. Because hiding it from you is the paramount directive. Only reason they were all on Signal. In other words, if they didn't use Signal, none of this would have happened. If they weren't all crooked, fucking worthless puppets of Satan destined for the lake, wanting to hide their communications. That's all they think about. That's their biggest nightmare, that you will see their communications. That's why Signal was used. So I don't care what report came out. Pete uploaded an entire strike package in front of a reporter. And if it wasn't for the reporter, we wouldn't even know about it. So this is what Pete walked away with. And first, Ron Filipkowski, what he says about it. I would say it's a clown show, but these clowns kill people and will get people killed in the future, so it's not really that funny or entertaining. No, it isn't. And this is a post by Pete, the mass murderer Hegseth. This is what his walkaway, his takeaway from the report. No classified information, total exoneration, case closed. Houthis bombed into submission. Thank you for your attention to this IG report. He's cracking jokes. Mr. Leaking Idiot. Mr. Mass Murderer. Mr. Drunk. Mr. 1.5 pull-ups. So the strike package wasn't classified. They're still running with that lie, huh? That's what Pete's running with? Like he ran with that day when we caught him. When Big Jeff Goldberg let us all know that, yeah, Pete uploaded an entire fucking strike package. Like it wasn't shit. So if that strike package was not classified information, that must mean I can call the Pentagon every single day. And I could say, hey, what strikes you got going on in the next 5 hours? And I'll just keep calling each day until I find a day where there's a strike. And I'm sure Pete, the lying mass murderer, drunk cunt Hegseth, I'm sure they'll feel perfectly comfortable with sharing that information with me. Every strike that's imminent within a half hour. I'm sure, since it's not classified, right, Pete? Right, rubes? Right, morons? Who gave your fucking country away? A strike that's imminent within a half hour is always classified! The fact that he could even write this and not hide his face in shame for the rest of his fucking life, because that's how absurd of a fucking lie it is. No, there's no exoneration. Pete, the moron Fox News host, drunk, in an effort to hide his communications and Stephen Miller's and all of them, all the evil right cunts from us, used Signal, had no clue who was in on the chat. I could have fucking been there. And uploads an entire imminent strike package. And a reporter came on himself, and, the rest is history. Again, anyone that's going to say with a straight face that an imminent strike package is not classified, just stop breathing. Because you're a waste of oxygen. You're one of the sky is purple people. The lake is orange. That's all you need to know. This is one of the things Donnie posted the other night when I said his mental decline, his sundowning, whatever you want to call it, was getting worse. Again, he posted 160 times in 5 hours, the most ridiculous shit. That tells me his mind is more gone. We've crossed another threshold. And then the way he was yesterday all day, it was obvious. That spirit within him will eat him alive further and further. It will exacerbate the health issues. Donnie has something inside of him. This is one of the things that struck me that he said, and I wanted to read it to you, but I never grabbed the shot. Guess who was up all night posting crazy stuff about Michelle Obama taking over Biden's auto pen? Rubery is so disappointing. This is Alex Jones that posted this, and then Donnie reposted it. Wild, Michelle Obama may have used Biden's auto pen in the final days of his disastrous administration to pardon key individual Patrick Byrne reveals. Well, I'll never take Patrick Byrne, whoever that is, seriously. Again, Alex Jones is the guy with $1 billion defamation judgment that he hasn't paid dime one because he's a fat fucking scumbag. And I guess he hasn't learned his lesson because now he's saying Michelle Obama was using auto pen for Joe Biden. And again, it's a shame. Take a look at this, because this is why your dumb ass gave your country up. Talking points like this. How many hours of your life did you waste in right-wing Facebook on this shit? That's why your country's over, son. Okay, I picked 4 famous murderers, and I asked the question because I don't know how many people these people killed. I know how many Pete and Donnie killed in their mass murder spree. Roughly 80. So I picked 4 random serial killers. And I want to see what their numbers look like. And we're just going to focus on the 80 bodies that mass murderer Pete and Donnie have on their jacket. Ted Bundy confessed to 30 murders, but the actual number of his victims is unknown, believed to be higher. Some experts and investigators speculate he may have killed as many as 100 women. Well, I'm going with what's known. That's 30, slightly more. Donnie and Pete have outpaced Ted Bundy. John Wayne Gacy convicted of murdering 33 boys and young men. 50 more and Gacy would have caught up to the mass murderer Donnie and Pete. Jack the Ripper officially credited with killing 5 women, known as the Canonical Five. I assume Jack killed more, but his numbers are low. There's only 5 known. Donnie and Pete far outpacing Jack the Ripper. This isn't a joke, son. What does that tell you, class? Pete Hegseth, Donald Trump, are more dangerous than the most prolific serial killers. And they just getting started. And they laugh about it and boast about it, joke about it on camera in public. Jack the Ripper 5. Oh, with Jack the Ripper, a movie from hell with Johnny Depp I found very fascinating, watched it several times, was about Jack the Ripper. And their thesis was Jack the Ripper was a Freemason doctor. Once the Freemasons and everyone realized what was going on, they had him lobotomized and put away. Because even the Freemasons were horrified. That's the story in that movie. Quite interesting. Jeffrey Dahmer killed 17 boys and young men. Wow, Donnie and Pete, the mass murderers, are just... They're making serial killers look like amateurs. I knew they would. That's what I've been yelling for 10 years, especially right before this election and right after they won. That's why I'm yelling, son. That's why I'm so serious, son, because this is serious. They more dangerous to the world, and I mean infinitely more dangerous, than the most prolific serial killers we know of over an entire lifetime of murder. They just getting started, and they have like 50 more bodies on their jacket. Again, you don't know what evil you have unleashed, what evil will play out before our eyes. Even the rubes will be goddamn horrified. And this is what CBS walked away from the report with. The Pete Hegseth report. Pentagon watchdog finds Hegseth signal chat violated regulations, could have endangered the troops, sources say. You think giving away a strike package a half hour before it's supposed to happen, you think that could have gotten people killed? Yeah, he should have been shit canned that day. Instead, Donnie said, let me and Pete go on a mass murder tour instead of getting rid of him. Things like this. Minnesota Somali leaders endorse Trump, say Democratic Party left us. This was before the election, obviously. How many groups did we see? Gays for Trump, blacks for Trump, Latinos for Trump. Now we rounding you all up and persecuting you. But you knew better. How do Somalis getting treated now? Again, I don't understand why any ethnic minority, and I'll include Jewish people in that, why in the fuck would you vote for the Klan? Did you think the Klan would accept you? Did you think we're too far into a modern era where the Klan won't kill you, round you up, gas you, put you in a death camp? It's their wildest dreams. I don't care how many times they shake your hand because you're convenient or you might get them a few votes. You've all betrayed your people. You've all put your foot up your own fucking ass if you're an ethnic minority and you voted for the Klan. And that's why your country's over, son. Not speaking to the rubes this time. Narrator, a year later, he called them garbage and told them to go back where they came from. Yep. We all begged you. And we all asked you the question, or at least some of us. You're an ethnic minority. What the fuck are you doing voting for Nazis that hate you? Now you are being rounded up first. How many times, how many Latin people have I seen? They took my wife, they took my husband. I didn't know. You did know. All of you knew. But you're evil. And we can't argue that away. We can't logic that away. Only reason you, as a person of color, would vote against yourself and your fellow people of color. You're evil, and you're too stupid to breathe. Do you think the Klan votes are for fun? And that's every election, son. Whatever, the country's over, you're over, I'm over. What's the fucking difference? Too late to learn a lesson now. And we're at the end. There are 17 days left before Trump has to show the Epstein files, which means we already know the date that Trump will start his war with Venezuela. Yeah. Now, I've heard this statement be made time and time again. Donnie's doing this to distract from the Epstein files. In some cases, that was true, but this is what's also true. This was all planned again before you even knew it was a Reich. This Venezuela thing was always going to happen, no matter what. Epstein things may have accelerated certain things, but it was going to happen no matter what. But I thought the point was a well-made one, and it's very possible that day Donnie could flip out and, want to take the headline away from whatever Epstein stuff gets released. Now, the Democrats got some more stuff from the estate today, pictures, different things. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about what the Reich will release. I'm guessing they'll release nothing. This will have black lines all over it. Why? Because Donnie's a pedophile who was best friends with Jeff Epstein. That's why. And no, Mr. Hegseth, you still gave away a strike package to a reporter because you're stupid and you're crooked and wanted to hide your communications. And in your attempts to hide it, you only made it that much more right in our face. What you may have forgotten, and I sure as fuck haven't, there were other texts, other people in that conversation. Stephen Miller was one of them. Discussing taking the Suez and using it to extort Egypt and Europe, flatly stated. In other words, we forget all the other nuggets that came through that Signal app. You got to see again behind the curtain. This keeps happening. This is not normal. You got to see directly behind the curtain, right into Stephen Miller's mind, what he doesn't want you to see. Do you know how valuable that is? This keeps happening. The Signal leak itself. We got to see behind the curtain with all those people that took part. Those were communications they did not want us to see. Kind of like when Miller got a little excited and started talking about plenary authority, and then he whoop, froze up because he realized, oh shit, I'm giving the game away. I didn't mean to say this. So don't forget, Stephen the Ghoul wants to use the Suez to extort Europe and Egypt, and that obviously translates over to the Panama as well. They would use that to extort whoever over here. Again, all planned before you knew it was a Reich, son. But no, Pete wasn't exonerated. Any strike package by the military is fucking classified, and we all know it. How do we know it? Well, they don't tell us. And if you try calling the Pentagon yourself and say, hey, what strikes you guys got going today? Click. Why? Because it's classified. That's fucking why. So no, Pete's not exonerated. And let's go all the way back to the beginning. Hold on. All the way back to this. Donald Trump Truth Social post, 9/2/25. Earlier this morning, on my orders, U.S. military forces conducted a kinetic strike. On my orders. Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth are mass murderers. Spoken before the man. Have a wonderful evening.